This is a Skies of Conflict emergency broadcast. We are coming to you live with confirmed reports of a violent and unfolding crisis in Minsk. The government of Alexander Lukashenko has reportedly collapsed early this morning. Elements of the Belarusian Armed Forces have turned on the regime after a night of intense fighting in the streets around the presidential palace, and the Ministry of Defense, Sweden, are receiving verified footage of Belarusian army T-72 tanks flying the historic white-red-white opposition flag, now positioned outside key government buildings. Communication from the official Lukashenko government has gone silent in the last hour. Unconfirmed reports suggest Lukashenko has fled the capital, possibly to a secure military base outside Minsk, or has even attempted to cross the border into Russia. The situation is extremely fluid, but this appears to be a full-scale military coup. The first domino has fallen in Putin's strategic backyard. This is a catastrophic blow to the Kremlin's war effort in Ukraine. Belarus has been a critical staging ground for Russian forces, a vital logistical artery and a psychological buffer for Moscow. The fall of Lukashenko effectively set Putin's last alliance in Europe and opens a new and volatile northern front. The initial triggers of the coup appear to be linked to a secret directive from Moscow. We have intelligence suggesting Russian planners were pressuring Lukashenko to formally commit Belarusian combat troops to the invasion of Ukraine. This ultimatum, delivered just 48 hours ago, fractured the Belarusian high command. Many senior officers have long resisted direct involvement, fearing the destruction of their own military, and a popular uprising that order to mobilize against Ukraine was the final straw. We are getting reports of firefights between units loyal to the general staff and the internal troops of the Ministry of Interior, which remained loyal to Lukashenko. Drone footage from last night shows explosions near the 65th Air Base, where Su-3 OSM fighter jets are stationed. It is unclear if the Air Force is under the control of the coup leaders, or if a battle for the skies is currently underway. These strategic implications are immense. The northern axis into Ukraine, specifically towards Kyushu, is now in question. Any Russian forces still operating from Belarus territory are now cut off, and vulnerable partisans are already reporting attacks on Russian supply convoys. Inside Belarus, the Wagner Group remnants stationed there are now isolated, and their status is unknown. The new military council issuing statements has declared a no-fly zone over western Belarus, fearing Russian intervention from the air. All of this happens as NATO forces on the Polish and Lithuanian borders are now at their highest state of alert. We are seeing live satellite imagery of increased U.S. Air Force RC-135 reconnaissance flights and RAF Typhoons scrambling from bases in Estonia. The Baltic Sea is now a tinderbox. The Belarusian coup leaders are likely calculating that NATO will not intervene militarily as long as they do not threaten their neighbors and openly renounce the alliance with Russia. This is a desperate gamble for the soul of a nation. The next 24 hours will be critical. We are monitoring Russian military communications. There are signs of emergency meetings at the Kremlin and at the Western Military District headquarters. The question now is, will Putin accept the loss of his closest ally, or will he order a desperate intervention to restore a puppet regime? Russian airborne units, the VDV, are on high alert and could attempt an air assault on Minsk to seize the airport and key infrastructure, but they would be facing a now hostile and mobilized Belarusian army, a force that knows the terrain and has nothing left to lose. The skies over Eastern Europe are charged with tension. One wrong move, one misinterpreted radar signal, one aggressive flight by a fighter jet could ignite a conflict far beyond Ukraine's borders. The collapse of the Lukashenko regime is the most significant geopolitical earthquake since the start of the war, and its aftershocks will be felt in every capital, from Washington to Beijing. This is a live developing situation, and Skies of Conflict will continue to provide updates as this historic crisis unfolds. Breaking news: Skies of Conflict has confirmed the collapse of the Lukashenko regime in Belarus. In a dramatic overnight military coup, elements of the Belarusian Armed Forces have seized control of the capital, Minsk, after violent clashes with loyalist forces. This video details the shocking fall of Alexander Lukashenko, Putin's last remaining ally in Europe, and the catastrophic strategic implications for Russia's war in Ukraine. We analyze the triggering event, a suspected Russian ultimatum for Belarus to directly enter the war. We break down the intense firefights in Minsk, the seizure of military bases, and the potential fate of Lukashenko himself, with confirmed reports of Belarusian army tanks now flying the opposition flag. We look at the new military council declaring authority and the immediate reactions from Moscow and NATO. The geopolitical landscape has been shattered. The vital northern logistical hub for the Russian military is now gone, opening a new, unpredictable front. Watch for analysis of live satellite imagery showing NATO and Russian Air Force movements, the status of Belarus's potent air force, including its Su-3 fighters and S-400 missile systems, and the potential for a direct Russian intervention. The skies of Eastern Europe are on a knife's edge.